up, y'all? I'm Sherelle Janae, and welcome to my YouTube channel, my first official video. I'm so excited. Let me stop lying. I'm really not. I'm actually terrified of this whole journey, but everybody keeps saying just start. So this is me just starting. I am a mother of 4. I'm recently remarried. I got remarried last year. I am a loctician, so I am a business owner. My children are 18, 16, want to be 14 in this month, November, and 6. I love all things locks. I have tried to start my journey many times before, and failed miserably. So this is the first time I have kept locks in this long. January of 2025 will be 3 years for me, and I'm so excited about my 3-year journey coming up, or hitting my 3-year milestone with having my locks in my hair. What can I say? I got into locks in 2017 thanks to my big sister. She came home and was like, I'm getting these things called Sisterlocks. And we're like, what the heck is Sisterlocks? She's like, you should do them. I'm like, those are way too small. It's just something I'm not interested in. So I just kept with my sew-ins and braids and silk presses and just hooking up my clients with that. But then my daughter at the time, I think she was in 6th grade. She was in 4th grade, and she begged and begged and begged for me to let her aunt put these Sisterlocks in her hair. And finally, I gave in. I'm like, okay, whatever. So my sister installed her locks. You was in 4th grade, right? I think you were in 4th grade.
That's not what happened.
You did beg for, I had proof of it, and so did she. Now, the second set was a me thing. The first set was a you thing.
I don't recall that.
Okay, well, when you get your channel, you tell your version of the story. I promise that's how it went. Anywho, so my sister installed her locks when she was in 4th grade. And so she came in town, did my daughter's locks, and taught me how to retie her hair. And I was just like totally uninterested. But she's like, if you don't learn how to do this, then, you know, you're going to have to pay somebody else to do it. Not that I mind paying someone else to do it, but I just don't believe in paying somebody to do something that I know how to do. So she taught me how to interlock her hair. And that's pretty much how it started. More and more like requests for it. I knew this girl who had a salon, and she knew that I knew how to do it. So she's like, hey, I can, you know, you can come work in my salon. And that's kind of how that got started. It's more to that story, but we'll just leave it at that. And I worked in her salon for 2.5, maybe 3, I think it was like 2.5 years. What's it, 2024, 21, like 2.5 years. And as my clientele began to grow, I found myself taking off time from my primary job to go do locks at the shop. And eventually it came to a point where my clientele grew very large, where I had to make a decision on, do I just want to focus on my corporate America side of myself, or do I want to focus on actually growing my business when it comes to locks? So I met this guy. If you stick around, you'll find more about him too. Because he put a ring on it. But anywho, I met this guy, he, along with my mom, and just everybody who saw like how fast my clientele was growing, told me, Sherelle, just take a leap of faith, trust God, leave your job, and just do locks full time. I did do that. However, I don't want to make it seem like I just jumped into it. I actually waited until I had I did both. I did my full-time job, and I did locks full-time as well. And it was very hard. I had 4 kids. I was a single mom. It was hard, right? And I did that for about 5 months. I did that for 5 months before I left my job, because I wanted to make sure I had at least 3 to 6 months of my monthly bills for my household in the bank before I just did it permanently. But locks had become so big, my clientele had grew so large that my lock income had replaced what I was making at my corporate America job in a short period of time. Like, I was making more doing locks than I was working in corporate America. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. But I did wait until I had like a little padding in my savings before I just took the plunge. And it was a beautiful experience. I learned so much working in a salon, because I had never wanted to work in a salon before. I was fine with taking my side clients at home and, you know, working in corporate America. Like, I felt like I had a safety net when it came to corporate America. But let me tell you something. Corporate America is not a safety net, because I have met so many beautiful people, right? Male and females, who have been in corporate America for decades. And corporate America has laid them off. Corporate America has fired them. They have furloughed them, no matter how long they have been on their job in that position. So corporate America is not always a safety net. Sometimes you have to bet on you. But back then, the Sherelle back then, I was scared, right? So I did want to have that 3 to 6 months savings. And so that's what I did. I left my job, I want to say like in March of 2022. Yes. And I worked at that salon up until March. Oh, that's so crazy. Up until March of 2024. I got married of August 2023. And my husband lived a little over an hour from where I lived in a different state. And the commute from my new home once I moved, and that's a whole other story that we can get into too, because yeah, that's a lot. We ended up moving over here, and the commute to get to work was like, without traffic, it was like 45 minutes. With traffic, and there was always traffic, it was like an hour. And I would do that commute going, and I would do it coming back. My middle school and my high schooler lost their bus. I don't know if it's like a shortage of bus drivers. I don't know what the problem was. They lost their bus. And I was driving to work the hour, driving back in the middle of the day an hour, getting my kids from school because they were stranded at school because they had no way to get home because of their bus. Take my son if he had basketball practice, take my daughter if she had something going on, make sure they was good at home, and then drive back the 45 minutes to work to do my evening clients, and then drive back home. And I did that so much it began to stress me out. My oldest daughter, who is my heart, all my kids are my heart, but my first baby, she got to complaining about like not being there and me missing some stuff for her sophomore year of high school, and that really hit hard because I've always prided myself on not missing anything my kids had going on, but I knew I wanted to build my business, and I knew the more that I built my business, it would benefit my kids as well, right? So it was a sacrifice, but in that sacrifice, I let her down, and that was hard for me as a mom because I've never missed anything, right? I worked corporate America jobs to the around whatever my kids had going on that were extracurricular. So when I started my own business and I was doing corporate America and the business at the same time, both full time, it left little time for me to be at those games that she had, but it meant a lot to her. And so, Brie, if you ever watch this, and I've already told you a million times because, you know, I'm a mama that apologized. I'm sincerely sorry, baby, but I did it for you and your siblings, right? But that hit home. And then my other kids, my middle schooler, his behavior was up and down. If you stick around, you'll find out about him too. And then my baby girl, like everybody just had so much going on, and I just felt like I was just missing so much of it. And a lot of my time was spent on the road up and down these highways just to make sure that I can still provide for my family and still be there for my family. And it began to stress me out. I started losing weight without even trying. I really didn't mind the weight loss because I felt like I was looking good, but that's another story. But then I started getting a bald spot at the top of my head, and I just wasn't happy, and I was just stressing, and it was just so much going on that I feel like I was letting my family down. Look at this lock. I was letting my family down. I'm just like, I got to figure out what's best for me. At the time, I didn't know what was best for me. I was just going to throw in the towel. I was going to forget doing locks. I'm done doing this. I'm done having my own business. It's too hard. It's too hard on my family. I'm just going to go back in corporate America and work from home because I've always worked from home. Well, for the first 7 years before I went into the shop. And I had reached back out to my old job. I'm like, hey, you know, are you guys hiring? I'm ready to come back. And, you know, they're like, yeah, Sherelle, of course, you were a great worker. Because I literally was getting ready to go back into corporate America because it was just too much. And I needed to be a mom, right? But I loved doing hair, and I have the most amazing clientele. Like when I say the most amazing clientele, my clientele grew from like, this is outside of my clients who didn't have locks. My clientele grew from maybe like 4 Sisterlock micro locks clients to like 80 or more a month, right? That's a lot. Like that's a lot. And I didn't want to let my clients down. I didn't want to let the person I was working with down, but I was letting my children down. And at the end of the day, when I'm on my deathbed, they're going to be the ones there like nurturing me and pouring into me and taking care of me. The person I was working with or for wasn't. the people that I was servicing wasn't. Like, my kids were suffering, and in return I was suffering. And I was like, I have to make a decision based on my children. So I decided to leave that salon and kind of take a breather and take a couple days, because a lot had transpired, to figure out what it was that I was going to do for myself and my kids. Ultimately, I decided to open up my own salon, which is much closer to my new home. And it just, I was scared. I was scared out of my mind, because I knew I was going to lose some clients when I decided to go a little further west with my business. But it wasn't about who I lost. It was about being there for my family. Like, I created these 4 kids. It had just been us for a while. Then I moved them all the way to a whole different state, or prior state. My mom was there, my sister was there, their dad was there, their dad's side of the family was there. So I had like hands-on help. But when we moved, to a different state, and it was because I have very like active kids, right? So my husband was doing all that he can, but he works. He's an entrepreneur. He has his own business. He has his own clientele. So he has his own stuff going on, and he was doing as much as he could. We both were, but ultimately, like, I was suffering. Like, I had a bald spot. And I just had to do what was best for me. And I felt at that time like moving my business closer to my home was just best. So I decided not to go back into corporate America, because I didn't want to. Like, I loved the semi-freedom that I had with having my own business. So I did lose about maybe like 10 clients when I moved, when I opened my own salon. But let me tell you something. I lost maybe 10 clients, right? In less than 60 days, maybe 45 days, I had gained like 30. No exaggeration. I had people calling me, DMing me, texting me like, oh my God, you're out this way. You're the only person out here that does this. You're closer to my home. You're this, you're that. I had clients that I had at the previous location texting me like, hey, I'm moving that way, and this and that and the third. And I'm just like, what? Like, God, what? Like, I was so fearful to do this, because I thought I was going to let everybody down. I was going to let down the person I was working with. I was going to let down my kids, because the money was going to be a little different. I was letting down myself, because this is really what I wanted to do. But I had to bet on me. And it was hard to bet on me. And I shout out to my sister and my husband and my mama, because they held me down during this thing. Because let me tell you something, I was depressed. I went through a whole like weekend of just like being depressed, and my husband's like, you got to get up out this house. You can't live like this. Like, we have to keep pushing. But my business has been thriving ever since, and I thank God for that. So that's like a little backstory on me. And so welcome to my channel. We're gonna be talking about locks. We're gonna be talking about like families, so much stuff that I can talk about. But I literally thank God for where I am now, right? I have the most amazing husband. He's super supportive. The things that my husband and I are doing right now is literally unbelievable, because I feel like my life was hell up until this point. Like, I feel like in 2024 everything fell apart. Like, it just went to the ground, right? And I just felt like no matter what I did, I just wasn't getting ahead. Like, no matter how much I was trying, I just wasn't getting ahead. And I know God says not to fear and not to worry, and he doesn't, give us the spirit of fear. But baby, I was very fearful, and I still worry, and I still have my fears, and I still have my doubts. And I'm like, how can I be fearful and trust God? Like, how, right? But I just have to. I have to do it with my legs shaking, and I'm so glad that I did, because my business is thriving. But I'm just excited to share not only my lock journey with you guys, but thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you watch more. If not, I appreciate you for watching this one. So thanks. Y'all have a good day.